What's going on, beautiful people? Hello, hello, hello. Let me check. I'm gonna check the audio on my phone to make sure it's coming through clearly. Y'all bear with me 1 minute while I double check the audio. Hopefully we don't have any technical difficulties today. It is 3:00 p.m. on March 29, 2020. This month is almost over, which is crazy. Let me double check this audio. My phone is moving slowly, which is crazy. Let me double check this audio. Okay, I think everything should be coming through. I'm gonna try one more time because my phone was lagging. Y'all bear with me 1 second. Okay. Well, all is well. All right, so good afternoon. It is March 29, 2020. My name is Danielle Jeffers. I am the founder of Dough for Degrees and your host for today's Community Scholarship Chat. Dough for Degrees Community Scholarship Chat occurs weekly every single Sunday at 3:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's the perfect time for you to ask any questions you have about scholarships, about my journey to a debt-free degree. I graduated debt-free from Virginia Tech. What's up, Cash Money Stacks? I hope all is well. I graduated debt-free from Virginia Tech in 2019, having earned more than $200,000 in scholarships. So I never took out a student loan. We produce content on this channel every week to help students earn scholarships to go to college and graduate debt-free. I usually average 3 videos a week, but I took this week to step back from YouTube a little bit to double check to make sure I had all my duckies in a row for the sprint. The month's not over. To be honest with you, we're probably going to run into April with the sprint, which I'm not worried about. I do want to make sure I do it correctly. So I saw a couple gaps in my plan. I went back and corrected those. And I'm still finalizing that. And then I'll start pushing those videos out and getting them to you. So I do appreciate your patience with that. I also had to take a step back from the marketing aspect of Dough for Degrees and really look at how we're going to handle how the company is going to function in the midst of the coronavirus crisis. So, I teach you how to earn scholarships to go to college, to graduate debt-free. And if you don't, this is the perfect opportunity for you to ask questions. Let me drop that question in the chat. Cash Money Sack said, at this time, would it be too late to apply for universities? That's a great question, Cash Money Sacks. What I will say is each university has different deadlines and different criteria, and every university is not all universities are handling their operations the same in the midst of this crisis. So some universities may have closed down the admissions part of the admissions department within the university itself. Others may keep it wide open. What I encourage you to do is to check out your respective university's website and see what they have to say about how they're handling applications. Now, keep in mind, there are deadlines. There are usually deadlines to apply to a university, so that deadline may have passed. If you have a question, contact admissions, shoot them an email, and reach out. I hope that helps. Cash Money Stacks, drop a comment and let me know if that was helpful. Hey, Miss Harold, I hope you're well. She said she's joining from Maryland. Good stuff. Or leave any questions you have about scholarships in the chat. All right, so everyone, let me catch you up on what's happened this week. I haven't been as active on YouTube this week because I spent a lot of time just making sure I am meeting the needs of the company beyond YouTube in the midst of the coronavirus, and contacting some of my strategic partners, contacting and reaching out. I'm glad she said that was helpful. Cash Money Sex said that was helpful. Awesome. I'm glad. And reaching out to my partners and seeing how we're going to function as a team in the midst of this crisis. So I've been doing a lot of the behind the scenes work, the stuff you don't usually see on the channel, to make sure we are still meeting the needs of our customers, our clients, and playing catch up and trying to automate and innovate in the midst of this so that we do maximize this opportunity. Because sometimes everything that comes to you as a problem, it's really about your perspective. It can either be a problem or it can be an opportunity. And as a forward-thinking person, which many of you are, especially if you're applying for scholarships and trying to graduate debt-free, you're definitely forward-thinking. You're futuristic. You're looking at the future and planning adequately. It's important that you make sure you don't have any gaps in your plan. And so for me, the coronavirus has disrupted some revenue streams for the company, but it's also allowed me to be innovative, and I've seen it as an opportunity. Now, I say this with all humility. I say this with all sympathy and all regard for what's going on across the world. not just America. I am praying for everyone. And if y'all want to take a moment to pray while we're on the chat, I'm more than happy to do that. And I probably will do it today before we close out. If that's, I don't do that to offend anyone. I don't do that to come off the wrong way. I'm not trying to mix religion into education, but I do believe right now is a time just to be still and meditate, and also find peace in the midst of chaos. And so I will say this, that it's important that you think ahead of the game. You try your best to be 10 steps ahead and not 2 steps behind. And you try your best. Like if you're in 7th grade right now, it's the perfect opportunity for you to be planning for college. It's never too early to start preparing for anything, because the more time you spend preparing, the better off you'll be in the end. And so Ms. Harold said, no offense taken, prayer works. That's so true. So true. And I definitely, I wanted to take the time today to function this chat as usual, because it's a forum. It's an open opportunity for you to ask me any questions you have about scholarships. It's an open opportunity for for us to have a conversation beyond the content we drop on the channel. But I also want to take the time today to just check on everyone. How are you doing? How is your family doing in the midst of this? And not just this, but just in general, like how is everyone's state of mind? Because it's hard to produce. It's hard to function when your mind's racing up here. Like it's hard to be settled and content when you don't have peace. And so if anyone wants to drop a question or comment, just let me know how you're doing right now. And we're gonna check on everyone before we jump into today's lesson, today's scholarship lesson, and how we're gonna go on moving forward. And so I will tell you how I'm doing while I wait for everyone else to jump in. Hopefully people drop a comment, just let me know how you're doing. For me personally, this week was probably one of the most reflective, and I would say in business, we call it a pivot. When you pivot, when you're going in one direction, you're building one product, you're building one system, and you pivot and you go another. So if you play basketball, and y'all have heard me talk about my love for the game on the channel, but it's more so you have your pivot foot. So you're stuck on this one foot, but you have the flexibility to move. You just can't move your whole body. Otherwise, you're traveling, you're walking. And so to relate that analogy to how life will function right now, we all have basic needs, basic bills, basic necessities, but it's forcing a lot of us to pivot. It's forcing a lot of us to go in a different direction to make sure we maximize the opportunity for growth. Not just the opportunity itself, but the opportunity to grow adequately in this moment. And so for me this week, I took a lot of pivots. I took a lot of pivots emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, financially. I took a lot of pivots. I'm like, there might be a critical issue right there. The red light might be flashing in this area of my life that I didn't know it was flashing in. And let me go address that. In business, I called some people like, hey, what do you think about this strategy and getting this information to the students? Because I'm noticing a lot of students right now who are at home don't have the access to technology, don't have the access to resources and information like they do when they go to school. School has been a safe haven. And so now the question is, how will the education system function beyond this crisis? Because I have a feeling, I'm gonna say it that way, that this might go on for a little while. I pray it doesn't. But if it does, how will we still educate students so that they don't fall behind? Another angle to look at it from my perspective, and this is what I was thinking about, this is how I'm doing, is these athletes. Every athlete doesn't get a full ride scholarship to college. And if you play a sport and you're trying to get a full ride scholarship to school, now you have to think about whether or not they're going to extend the eligibility of the current athletes, and that might decrease the amount of scholarships they're able to distribute next year. So your chances of winning a full ride scholarship to play your desired sport in college may be even lower. Now, how will you prepare to go to college, play the sport you love, attend the university you would like to, excel academically, and not have to take on any debt? It's time for outside scholarships. And that's the process I took, where you're not necessarily winning one scholarship award and it's paying for everything, but you're applying for multiple scholarships to cover everything. So to sum that up, how am I doing? How was this week? This week was tough. This week was a week of maturity and growth. This week was a week of reflection and progression. This week was a week of meditation and mediation almost. But this week was necessary. Well, last week rather, because today is Sunday. But how I'm doing now, I'm ready. I'm fired up. I have a game plan. I'm still making sure I analyze my game plan correctly so that we move in the right direction as a company, as a team, as a leader, as a support system, or a part of a support system for many people. How do I function in my respective roles adequately? So that's how I'm doing. Once again, if you want to check, if you want to drop a question or comment about how you're doing, or if you want to leave a thought, feel free to do that. I'm more than happy to address that. Just I want to be supportive because sometimes the conversation doesn't always need to remain the same. I could talk about scholarships all day. I can give you advice and tips and principles and all those things all day long. But if you're not doing well as a person, that's a point of concern for me. And so I just want to check on everyone and see how everyone's doing. And if you want to reach out to me, you don't want to mention how you're doing on this chat right now, contact me. I'm gonna drop the link to do that in the chat, and we can have a conversation. I'd be more than happy to have a one-on-one conversation with you. If you have any pressing questions, you're like, hey Danielle, I'm a senior in high school, and I know they canceled graduation, but I don't know what college is going to look like next year. Feel free to reach out and we can talk about it. So what's up, Corey? Corey's in the chat under no more interviews. What's up, Corey? There's a 10-minute free option on this link I just dropped in the chat. If you want to reach out and you want to talk one-on-one. Good stuff. All right. So let's jump into the one video I dropped last week was 100 free copies of my latest ebook. I am giving away 100 copies. I haven't checked the stats. I could probably do that right now to see how many copies have been given away so far. I haven't really been mass. I put that video out knowing that I probably wouldn't be able to touch that again until this week to share it with everyone and get that information to everyone again until this week or next week because of the pivot we went through as a company. But I do want to make sure that I do address that. I am giving away 100 free copies. A lot of people have downloaded it. Like I mentioned before, those videos are unlisted. And so you do have the ability to comment under those videos. And so I've seen at least one comment. My biggest thing is making sure that it's functioning. The ebook makes sense. And so if you've grabbed your copy of that ebook and you're using it, just let me know if it's helpful. If there's anything you want me to add, if there's anything you want me to adjust or make corrections on. I'm trying to figure out how many copies have been sold so far, and I'm struggling to see it on my phone right now, probably because I'm doing two things at one time. So y'all bear with me. It's probably around 20, 25 copies have been given away so far. I don't know. I'm going to push it more on social and push it out more to my channels this week while I have the time built into my schedule to do so. And then I'll give away the additional copies. All right. So what's going to happen for Dough for Degrees moving forward? We are going to get those 23 scholarships out to you all. It's going to run into April. I'm not sure yet if it's going to run into the first or the second week of April, but I do know for sure you probably won't get 23 videos before the end of March. And so I sincerely apologize for not executing as promised. I do appreciate your understanding and your patience. You will get 23 scholarships. You'll probably end up getting more than that because of the delay, because of the failure to execute it all in March. But I will say it's going to be beautiful. And I'm going to do a giveaway. Not only am I announcing 23 scholarships, not only am I going to teach you how to win them, but I'm going to give something away as well. And so you want to make sure you stay tuned, you stay locked in and clocked in to figure out what that is. Because I may announce it on the 6th video, on the 9th video, on the last video, the first video. I'm not sure yet. Just know I will be giving away something big, something huge before this sprint is said and done. All right. In addition to that, what else is new with the channel, with everything? I do want to take a moment to look at the process of how what I've noticed having conversations with my clients this week, having conversations with business partners and my team, and noticing how this coronavirus could affect students and parents and families in the fall and in the spring when the schools open back up and they're functioning as normal, probably with a lot of adjustments, with a more centralized and focused virtual aspect of the learning process. But what I will say is that parents, if you notice a decrease in your income right now and your tax return, your household income may not be as large as it was last year, keep that in mind as you prepare to apply for financial aid in the coming months. or in the coming year. Keep that in mind because, especially if your student is already in school, it could affect the amount, it could positively or negatively affect the amount of financial aid awards you receive. And if your income increases, keep that in mind as well, because that will affect your need-based eligibility. And so let me explain that in terms of the practical aspect of scholarships and financial aid, meaning FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. Let me type that in the chat, the free application for federal student aid. Federal student aid. Okay. So, as students, keep this in mind as well. Um, as a student in high school, I qualified for need-based aid. Need-based aid is aid given to students who have a lower household income, so their parents may not be able to afford to send them to college. These students definitely aren't in the 1%. They may be in middle class, depending on the geographic area, the socioeconomic status of families in that respective area. But they definitely don't have an abundance of money. They don't have a lot of money, but they need money. And so I qualify for that need-based aid given by the federal government through FAFSA. What the FAFSA is, the free application for federal student aid, is a federal government document where the government takes the time to assess your family's household income and assets to determine how much need-based aid you can receive. And the need-based aid, let me type that in the chat, so I spell it out. Need-based aid is short for need-based financial aid. There are 4 different types of financial aid. Number 1, loans. Number 2, scholarships. Number 3, grants. And number 4, work study. There are 4 different types of financial aid: loans, scholarships, grants, and work study. And so as a student, because I had a financial need for funding to go to college, I qualified for all of those forms of financial aid. And so I was eligible to receive a few loans from the federal government, direct and I think it's direct and no, it's unsubsidized and subsidized. I'll shoot a video on that later. But to break it down to you simply, let me type that in the chat as well. And subsidized. Unsubsidized and subsidized student loans, they have to do with the interest. So a subsidized student loan means that the federal government is going to pay the interest on your federal loan. What's up, Carrie Bay? While you're in school, they're going to pay the interest on your loan. Now, unsubsidized student loan means that the interest is accruing while you're in school, and the federal government is not going to pay the interest. So you're responsible for paying the interest on that loan. Now, what happened was I decided I didn't want any loans, so I applied for scholarships. Now, not only did I qualify for need-based scholarships, but I also qualified for merit-based aid. Let me type that in the chat too. Merit-based aid. And again, merit-based aid is short for financial aid. And so as a student, I want you to keep this in mind. You may have a financial need because of your household income. So let's say if you're in my shoes, your parents don't have money, but there is an opportunity for you to win merit-based aid because you maintain a high GPA, you do well in the classroom, you're active in your community, you have special skills or talents, and or you have set yourself apart from every other student. And so for me, not only did I qualify for need-based aid, but I also qualified for merit-based aid. And let me make it practical for you, is because I had maintained a 4.1 GPA. I had more than 200 hours of community service, and I was a leader in my community. Those 3 things were key components to helping me win a lot of merit-based scholarships. And so I've heard this question a lot very recently because of the effect this crisis is coronavirus, the COVID-19 crisis is having on families and household income. Families are asking, okay, so my kid was doing community service. They were doing 20 hours of community service every month. Well, how are they supposed to do that now? You have to be innovative. Right now will be the perfect opportunity for you to innovate or create a way to do community service online. For instance, let's see, I'm trying to come up with something off the top of my head to be innovative and creative. I don't know. Let's just say you started let's say you started a community service initiative where, as a student, you were helping other students make sure they were on top of their curriculum. So I don't know if you start a Facebook group and you're sending out a message every day to say, hey, this was the assignment for the day, what have you. I wouldn't be opposed to taking that down as community service right now, because that's work you're doing to support your community and you're not getting paid for it. And so some type of innovative strategy, maybe you're going on Facebook and you're reading a book to on Facebook Live. You're reading a elementary school level book on Facebook Live and you're posting on Facebook. I wouldn't be opposed to calling that community service right now, because y'all know we are social distancing. And if you were to go do that when we aren't social distancing, if you were to go visit an elementary school and read a book to a class, that's still considered community services. So when you do it online, it's a form of community service. It's a way of you being a leader in your community and serving people adequately, so that you make sure you're still getting your community service hours. And so right now would be the perfect time for you to build your digital profile of who you are beyond the classroom, because you know you're not in the classroom 24/7 like you used to be. Well, you weren't in it 24/7 anyway, but you know you have more time and more bandwidth. So now is not the time for students to slack off and like just chill out. Now is the time to separate yourself from the crowd. Now is the time to step into the fullness of your leadership and demonstrate how you can positively impact this world as an individual without having to be physically present. Catch me, catch me. If you catching my drift, y'all drop something in the chat and let me know. I encourage every student who's applying for scholarships to build a digital profile right now of you giving to other people. Build a digital profile right now of you encouraging and inspiring other people. And then when you get ready to apply for these scholarships, or while you're applying for these scholarships, reference that in your essays. And if you have a chance to add any additional links or add it to your resume or your portfolio or your LinkedIn profile, do that. Right now is the perfect opportunity to learn how to positively impact others without having to be physically present. Okay. Y'all drop a question or a comment in the chat. You all let me know if that was helpful. Another suggestion I have for student leaders would be, it's the perfect opportunity for you to tell a story, because as you apply for these scholarships, I guarantee you there are going to be a surge of scholarship applications that open within the next 24 months that ask students to talk about how the COVID-19 experience impacted their educational progress. And the reason why I say that is because these companies are going to want data, firsthand accounts of how students handled this crisis, how families handled this crisis, because they can't invade everyone's living room. They can't invade everyone's space. And so they're going to want firsthand accounts. So as a student, what I encourage you to do is to take this time right now to kind of document your day-to-day life in the midst of the coronavirus. How has this affected your routine? Have you been able to self-discipline? Have you been self-disciplined? What time are you getting up? I'm not asking you to tell all your business to the world via social media and Facebook and Twitter, and Instagram, and TikTok, and Trilla, and whatever else is out there. I'm just asking you to tell parts of your story so that you have that firsthand data and you can reference it in your scholarship essays. One thing I wish, well, I probably am going to do it now, within the first 2 weeks of April, is shoot a video about how to work from home, because that's something I do every single day. And I'm not trying to make this video about me. I'm not trying to make this live about me, but I'm trying to help y'all think about the perfect opportunity as a student and a parent, as a family member, to stand at the forefront and lead this generation, lead your generation, lead the world in the right direction. One thing I wish I would show more on the channel is the behind the scenes process I go through. And one reason I've been hesitant to do that is because some things in business, like, you can't talk about until it's done. There's some things you can't really discuss until the papers have been signed. And so I encourage everyone to be reflective and be forward thinking in how you're working from home right now. I'm going to give you all a daily routine, probably after I announce these 23 scholarships, about how I work from home, because basically everyone's doing that right now. You don't have to copy my process, but it would be good to give you perspective and how you can do things for yourself. Just as important as it is for you to have a routine when you don't work from home, it's just as important for you to have a routine when you do work from home. So for me to give you some tips right now, I would say my biggest thing is having a scheduled time that you wake up every single morning. My alarm goes off at 6 o'clock. I usually beat my alarm. I'm usually up every day by 4 o'clock in the morning. Now, am I out the bed at 4 o'clock? No, I'm definitely not out the bed at 4 o'clock. I'm the type of person that will wake up, wake up, read something, or whether I read a book, I read scripture, what have you, turn back over, go to sleep, wake up again, start doing work, get up, get some breakfast, take a nap, get up, get breakfast, shower, take a nap, and then get back to work. Like, I'll probably take 3 or 4 naps throughout the day. Kevin and Corey's in the chat, I know for sure, if he hasn't left, but he can tell you, I definitely take my naps throughout the day, but I also have a routine. I go probably from 4 to midnight every day. And so it's just having a routine, having something set in place. And by you telling that story and you showing people how you're serving your community virtually, it will help you be different from the crowd when you apply for these scholarships. Because companies and scholarship providers are looking to invest in people who are different, who don't follow these societal norms, societal patterns. And so if you were an activist, if you were on the front lines of, I don't know, Hispanic rights or international education, equal opportunities, what have you, if you're on the front lines of that physically before the coronavirus hit, right now would be the perfect time to figure out how to do it virtually. And that doesn't mean you posting on social media every day to educate people, but it means you doing that combined with starting a group of passionate people who are willing to push the needle forward and help you execute, building a team. And so I just gave y'all a lot of tips. That may not have been for everybody. That may not make sense to everybody. I don't know. But I do want to help you think about how to tell your story right now and not allow yourself to become enamored by the time you have off or the time you have away from the classroom, but just to figure out how to be innovative and how to pivot. Okay. So, because when these doors do open and students do go back to school, 9 times out of 10, because there isn't a structure put in place in this very moment, things will go back to business as usual. 9 months of school a year, SOL testing, what have you. But within the next 5 to 10 years, because education usually takes longer to make a big legal change, there will be a different structure in how students are graded, how students are assessed and their abilities and their skill sets. But in the midst of that, if we're going to keep playing the same ball game and the rules aren't going to change, now's the perfect time to make sure you win. All right. I did say I want to close out in prayer today. This is something I haven't done on channel before. It's not something I'm opposed to doing regularly, but I do understand that everyone has different needs, different desires. But right now, I do want to just take some time to uplift some people, encourage some people, and just wish well, send good vibes, send good energy your way, and also speak to God. So I'm going to pray. And then after I pray, I'm going to take any final questions or comments you have. And then we're going to close out the chat. Miss Harold said, good stuff. Thank you. Awesome. I'm glad it was helpful. Thank you for that comment, Miss Harold. I was looking for some feedback from somebody. Somebody let me know if it made sense. I hope I wasn't rambling. But good stuff. All right, y'all, let's pray. God, thank you for the day. Thank you for this moment. Thank you for your grace, your mercy, your power, and your unconditional love. God, I don't know exactly what you're doing in this moment. I don't know what the purpose of this season is, but I do say thank you. I say thank you for still being Jehovah Jireh, still being our provider, still being omnipotent, still being a covering, still shielding us and loving us unconditionally, and just showing mercy in this season, God. Thank you already for touching the hands, the minds, the hearts of people all across the world, for healing people like never before, for having people experience your grace and your mercy and your love in another way, God. If there's anything in me that's not like you, if there's anything in any of us that's not like you, I ask you to remove it so we can be open vessels for you to use, God. Thank you for using this channel, this opportunity to communicate effortlessly, to communicate in a way that impacts and empowers other people, God. Thank you for working through me, God. And I just ask that you would cover the hearts and minds of people, that they will find peace in the midst of chaos, that they would find certainty in the midst of uncertainty, that they would renew their strength and walk by faith and not by sight. And sometimes when people don't know what the answer is, that they would just turn to you and say, thank you that you're already providing, because wherever there's vision, there's also a provision. God, I pray that you would bless the minds and the hearts of our government, touch the people who have the switch to turn off whether or not people get to have lights for another day or water for another day. Touch their hearts so they may be kind and be generous in this moment. God, I ask that you would just shield the minds of the youth, that you would forge a new level of strength within them, that they would be powerful and they would come out of this stronger than they went into it. that they would bless people like never before with a heart of generosity, a heart of service, and a heart of kindness. God, I pray that the spirit of greed will cease and that people will allow people to get what they need and not be greedy, not be hoarders, but just make sure other people are taken care of as well, God. And just use me how you want to use me. Continue to bless, heal, and touch. I thank you. I love you. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right, y'all. So that is it for today. If you have any questions or comments, y'all drop them. Y'all let me know. What I will say while I'm giving y'all a couple minutes to drop a question. Oh, I forgot I don't have my watch on. It's charging. While I'm waiting for y'all to give a question or a comment, I just want to say that thank you for joining. Thank you for being a supporter, for loving me, for watching my videos, for watching my content, for being patient, and for being understanding. I'm young, trying to figure it out, but I'm trying to do my best to make sure I leave the world better than I found it. And that's my hope, that everyone does the same, that you are selfless and you leave this world better than you found it, that you positively impact somebody else, that you change someone else's life, and that you understand if you give, it's going to be given back to you tenfold. And so whatever I can do to help, y'all let me know. We will begin the conversation about scholarships at a rapid pace very soon. But I did need some time to just gather myself, collect my thoughts, and prepare adequately. And so I will see you in this upcoming week, or this week, with new videos. I love y'all. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Miss Harold said we will be in touch tonight. Tomorrow we have a video scholarship to create. We'll need assistance. Okay, let me know. Feel free to shoot me a text or schedule a time that works for you. I'm more than happy. MeritBased said, just finished an essay for a scholarship and I'm quite nervous, but I've been wondering whether adding a statistic within my essay is a smart idea. Almost definitely. It's definitely a smart idea. I would definitely cite your source as well, because you don't want to miss the opportunity to cite your source. So cite your source, say where you got that statistic from. I use stats in my writing, not as often as I could have, but I did use stats. So it helps tell the story in a more effective way. The biggest thing when you're using statistics in your writing, forgive me, I need some water, y'all. But when you're using statistics, oh, you're welcome, Miss Harold, is to make sure you still have an emotional component. So you don't want to use a bunch of statistics so that it becomes like a hard research paper, but you want to make sure it's informative. And there's a lot of emotion to compel the reader to choose you over and the other applicants. And reach out to me. The link to contact me is in this chat if you want to talk about that more. But I avoided using more than 2 statistics within one essay because I didn't want it to come off as a research paper. All right. And Omer, they said, true, I would do that. Awesome. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Great. Thanks for asking that question. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good Sunday. I'll talk to y'all soon. Love you. Deuces.